Are we sure it's working? Okay. There it is. All right, welcome everyone. We're going to call the City of Plymouth City Council regular meeting of Thursday, August 14th, 2025 to order at 6:30 p.m. Roll call.
Councilmember Hornish,
Here.
Vice Mayor Nunn,
Here.
Mayor Cranford.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Let's do the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I'll look for a motion to approve the City Council regular meeting agenda of August 14th, 2025, unless there's any sort of amendments that we need to do. I don't think so.
I'll make a motion to approve regular meeting agenda. Second. 14th.
Councilmember Hornish,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Nunn,
Aye.
Mayor Cranford.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
All right, let's move on to item 3 is regular meeting public comment. This public comment is intended to be a public comment on anything that is not on the agenda. If you have a comment on something that is on the agenda, please hold that comment for that agenda item. We will make sure to hear from you at that time. We do request that you keep your comment to 3 minutes. And that's just out of respect for everybody else in the room and the city council. It's just a general rule we have. So I'm going to start with those that have handed in. Before I do that, Miss Vicky, did we have anybody email in or write in comment?
Not for regular general public.
Okay. All right. So we'll start with Mr. Cranford. You're up.
Good evening, Mayor Cranford, members of the city council and staff. I will be brief. That's not my custom, but tonight I will be brief. I have a couple of questions. I'm going to ask a question. If whatever answer I get, I may ask a follow-up question. What precipitated the move of the fire hydrant on Village Drive from the location that it had been in for decades to a new location?
We got your PRA request and you'll get information from us in the coming days.
Oh. Apparently nobody knows why it was moved. We will find out in coming days, just so the council knows and the public knows. I have submitted a rather comprehensive public records request to find out why that fire hydrant was moved, who moved it, was there a contract, was it permitted, was it designed? There's a whole host of questions here related to what appears to be a very simple, the infrastructure of the city of Plymouth paid for by taxpayers in the city of Plymouth was moved, and I don't think it was ever agendized on a city council. I don't believe it was ever presented for public comment. And as public servants, I find that disturbing.
Thank you. Next on our list is Virginia or Ginger, and I'm not sure how to say her last name, so I don't want to butcher it. Seaman, please come up. Will you turn on the microphone for us just because no one else can hear at home?
Just push the silver button down at the base right there.
There you go.
Okay,
Perfect. Thank you.
Virginia Seaman, I'm here to address the no parking signs at fair time on Empire Street. I am a longtime resident of Plymouth. And I live right at the back entrance of the fairgrounds. And they keep removing, they send the city workers out to put the no parking signs up, and then they remove them. And I find this very discerning because I have them go through my garbage. I have the fairgoers park in front of my house without permission. I don't have a driveway on Empire Street. I'm the only house that does not have a driveway. So I have to park out front. Okay? They leave garbage in the back of my truck, they throw garbage in my yard, and they stand out in front in the middle of the street and call me names because I tell them they can't park there. I want to address a solution to this problem because you guys put the signs up and then you take them down the next day. And that leaves us as residents on Empire Street, the block that is closest to the back entrance, where people think they could just park in your front yard. They park in front of the fire hydrant. I called the sheriff. Sheriff said they can't do anything. They couldn't even tow the car, nor could they ticket it. Okay? They parked in driveways. Called the sheriff. They can't do a thing about it because there was no parking signs up in someone's private property. Now, I'm looking for a solution.
Thank you. I do believe we had some issues over the parking this year specifically. Is this happened every year or has it just been this year?
Every year.
Oh, interesting. So I can only speak to this year. Because of the walking path that they put up on the highway,
Yes.
it really impacted Surface Street parking. That was a Caltrans project, not a City of Plymouth project.
Yes.
And so there was some people upset over not being able to park on Empire because we've lost so much parking on the highway. Now, in the past years, I'm not sure why that was done. This year, I know that you are correct, the signs were taken down, but then they were put back up. As far as my knowledge, because the fire department requested the signs be put back up. They were not.
Only from Highway 49 for a block
Past
Past
Colburn
the-
Field.
past the olive trees.
Okay.
And what was happening was the truck and trailers
Mhm.
trying to come out of the back entrance of the fairground could not get out because of the cars parked along Empire Street there.
Okay, we can take this to city staff to have this looked at and see what we could do to remedy this for you guys. I'm thinking possibly cones put out in front of your house or something, cause I actually know where you live. You have a beautiful spot there, so, we'll try to make sure that doesn't happen to you again.
They went through my garbage cans this year,
Yeah, that's really, invasive. I'm sorry that happened to you.
you know, and I've been a resident in Plymouth most of my life.
Yeah.
And I've been very, I want to say, tolerant to fair time. I have to change my air filters in my air conditioner 4 times in less than a month to combat the dust and dirt.
Yeah, I used to live on Guerin Street, just behind there, so I'm very familiar with what you're talking about. Yeah, it can be a difficult time of year for sure. So I hear you, and we'll work towards making that better for you.
I'd like a solution. I don't want to interfere with the fair. I
Mhm.
don't want to stop that, but I had to call the fair's office to have them ask the fair manager to make a phone call to the local radio station to let the locals know that there was parking at the sand plant. And the parking attendants were absolutely frightening rude, and the language was very disrespectful. When the parking lot got full, they shut the gate and started screaming at people.
Okay,
Well, that's not gonna bring people back to come to the fair.
sure. Okay, we appreciate your comment. Unfortunately, we're past the 3 minutes, I believe. So we do have to move to the next. Thank you so much. Does anyone else have public comment at this time that didn't turn in a a paper. We just went with those first, but if you have public comment on anything that's not on the regular agenda, you're welcome to come up and make public comment. Doesn't look like anyone's standing up.
Good evening, Michael Spinetta from Hawksview, not the treasurer while I'm talking right now. I just wanted to, and I know we'll recognize them at a future date, but the lifeguards did such a great job this year. Attendance was up and the pool was clear. Everything was just really good this year. And it's amazing to see them back at school. One of them is sheet rocking a wall at school. So you hired the right people to do a good job. And they're just really hard workers. And I really appreciate their level of maturity and everything they did this year. So, and I'll just brag, some of them are my students. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, I will close public comment at this time. We'll move to item 4.1, and we're gonna do a little presentation here recognizing our city manager, Margaret Roberts, for retiring from her service here at the city. So Margaret, if you wanna just come up, I'm gonna come down. Margaret, we want to thank you on behalf of the city of Plymouth for the work that you've done here at the city of Plymouth, particularly many of the obstacles that you faced when you came into this job. In addition to that, I would just like to note that public service is one of the toughest jobs there is. And so you've held your head high and done a great job serving the city of Plymouth, and we thank you for that. Oh, should we have public comment for that? Sorry. It's a
Sure.
oh,
We can do public comment.
okay.
Yeah.
So anyone who wants to make public comment, I didn't know we did that for presentations. I'm still learning. Have grace. No public comment?
Hi, Sarah Roberts, Margaret's daughter. I just want to say thank you for giving me my mother back. And acknowledging all of the hard work that she's put in for the city. The countless hours, as well as the past year with her keeping her head held high, with all of the harassment she's had to endure and all of the backlash for things that she had no part of, the insults, the personal attacks, the online bullying that she's had to endure. So thank you for finally acknowledging her in taking all of that abuse. It's appreciated. Yeah, that's all. Thanks.
Thank you, Sarah. Anyone else? Okay, we'll close public comment at this time on that agenda item. 4.2 is candidate interviews, discussion, and possible action regarding filing vacancy of city council term ending November 2026.
Do you want me to do a short staff report on that?
Yes, please.
All right. As everybody knows, we've got 2 vacancies on the council. On July 10th, the council decided to fill the term ending in 2026 by appointment and the other one by election. We'll get to that in more detail another time. On the term for ending next year, we posted a notice on the city's website and solicited interested parties to submit an application. Based on that solicitation, we had 4 interested candidates: Wendy Bottomley, Deborah Dill, Trevor Doyle, and Eric Marks. First of all, an apology to Mr. Marks. His name was misspelled in an initial version of the packet. And thank you to the member of the public who pointed that out to us. Very embarrassing, and I apologize for that. Second, you'll notice that Ms. Dill is not listed in the agenda tonight, and that is because she asked to have her name removed from consideration for this seat because she filed for the other vacancy for the 3-year term.
Andreas, speak more into the mic, because we're gonna have.
Yeah, so Ms. Dill was purposefully not included on tonight's item for the 1-year term at her request. Finally, Mr. Doyle informed us this morning that he's got a personal conflict right now, so he's gonna be coming to the meeting later in the evening. So our recommendation is to do interviews of the other 2 candidates right now and then table this item for later in the meeting until he's got a chance to join us so that you can interview him then.
I'm fine with that. Are you guys fine with that? Okay,
Okay.
yep.
So with that, if you'd like to speak to either of the other 2 candidates right now, I think now would be the time to call them up and ask them to talk about themselves a little bit and ask questions of them.
Do we need public comment?
Yes, we'll also do public comment.
First.
Sure.
Okay, would anybody like to make public comment on item 4.2? Regarding the city council appointment? Thank you. Okay. Yeah, last time we did it down there, I feel like,
We have them sitting down there. Yeah.
and we sat down there.
Yeah, maybe back a little bit. We can't see the end of the table. Maybe
Yeah, there you go.
And about in the center. Yeah, that's pretty good right there.
Thank you.
The only thing, they don't have mic. Make sure the mic will, go over to the table, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna, oh, sorry. So there's no public comment. I just want to make sure one more time. No, okay. So we're gonna close public comment at this time for item 4.2. We'll go ahead and ask Wendy Bottomley to come up since Trevor's not here. I'm just gonna go in order that's on the list. Debbie, is it okay if you go last on this? Yeah, okay. Oh, you're not gonna come tonight, come talk.
No.
Okay,
No, yeah.
No, for the 3-year term, we'll have to have a separate meeting next.
got it,
Because
okay.
of some election code procedures associated. with that.
Right. Sorry, Deborah, sorry. Okay, go ahead. I included, I don't know. Sorry, can you go ahead and turn your mic on? Yeah. I'm gonna, just let Holger start and we're just gonna ask you questions. Feel free to ask us questions if you have questions for us and what all this entails. And, we'll try to keep it at a semi-decent amount of time so that it's respectful for everybody's time.
Sure.
Holger, you wanna start?
Hi, Wendy.
Hi.
What specific issues facing our city do you consider most urgent, and what concrete steps would you take to address them?
My biggest concern is the lack of accountability for the accounting and the financial aspect of the city. And the steps would be more checks and balances, more insight to what's actually going on with the money.
Okay, thank you. How do you plan to engage with the residents who disagree with your position? And can you give me an example if you've ever had, that happen?
Everybody's entitled to their opinion, and if somebody comes up to me and wants to talk about something, I'll of course listen to their side and try to have empathy for them and put myself in their position. And of course, it's a city council that, we can't just rely on just one person's opinion, and it would come to public forum if it was something regarding the city.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Last but not least, walk me through your decision-making process for evaluating the city budget. How would you balance competing priorities like infrastructure, public safety, and community programs?
Well, first you have to see what you're dealing with, and prior year information is a good start. And then you'll have to have information for what your goals are for. I'm personally a fan of a 3 and 5 year plan. Budgeting you need to get input from all aspects of the city, including the administration, what the infrastructure team needs for the landscaping or not the roads and things like that. Water, you need to know what you're outlaying so you can budget for the following year, and then have goals on special projects, how you're going to, where are we going to pull these funds from? Where are these funds going to come from? And how are we going to adjust the costs accordingly?
Okay, thank you.
Don, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hello, Wendy. One question is, serving on the city council is often far more involved and time consuming than the public realizes. And I would ask you, if you're in your personal life or your business life, you feel that this is something you would have the time to put in for. And I would also bring up that besides just sitting up here at these meetings, there are several committees and so forth that we have to fill spots on. Sometimes we try and split it up, and sometimes some of those meetings might happen sometimes in the mornings on a weekday or something. Do you think your schedule would be flexible to handle that, what I'm talking about, be able to possibly serve on other committees and understand the time commitment that you would be getting into here?
Yes, I understand the need for not just these every couple week meetings, you have to be involved,
Yeah.
not just here, like you say, other committees, being present for the public. That means going to the
Mhm.
outside events, being, so you can listen to people. We're here to serve them. And so I would definitely be able to make that. I work remote. I live on Main Street. My children are grown. So, my work is a pretty small commitment.
Okay.
So I have extra time. That's why I'm actually here. If I couldn't give it all, I wouldn't do it. It's not in my manner to do something halfway.
Okay, well, thank you for that.
You're done? Okay. Hi, Wendy. You have such a lovely name.
I know.
Can you give me an example of your professional experience, or a little bit of a Reader's Digest version of your professional experience?
Sure. I'll give you guys my little life synopsis
Mhm.
there. I have a degree in accounting from San Jose State. I have always been in accounting up until the last few years. I was a financial controller for a market research company in the Bay Area. We were in high tech. I was there 18 years. Grew the company from basically coming out of a garage to 50 employees. We had offices in 3 countries. Anything that came with a number didn't go without me seeing it. So I handled everything from budgeting to payroll to forecasting, anything that we needed. We got acquired. I helped position ourselves to be acquired by a bigger company. That was successful. And then I just kept going. I took a little bit of time off after that. It was a lot of work. And then I got hired as a corporate controller in a different dynamic, Waterworks Material, much larger company, 200 million in sales, almost 200 employees. I had a staff of 17 that basically ran everything from accounts payable, accounts receivable. I managed all the branch financials, and I reported to the CEO. And I didn't do the investment portion of it. I did more, which in my first job, I was everything. For the R&B job, I basically ran the accounting, make sure all the I's were dotted and T's were crossed.
Okay. You know, we have an opening for an accountant, right?
The beauty of my job now is I work remote and,
Yeah.
and I can work anywhere.
Yeah. That is a hard thing to pass up.
Yeah.
Okay, my next two questions are really just say however you feel.
Sure.
One is, are you committed to staying in this position until the term ends? Because as you may have noticed, we are having a troubles with that situation. And so we need somebody who's going to be committed through thick and thin. There is a significant amount of heat that the city council catches. And as to Don's point, as he was saying earlier, the time commitment involved when you desire to do this job well is significant. So do you feel like you're 100% committed if you were to get this position to stay the course?
Absolutely. I would not have put the effort in, like I told Don, I don't do things I don't want to. So if I want to be here, I want to make a difference. I want to see Plymouth have a bright future. I live here. I
Okay.
chose to live here and
Okay.
I do love it here.
I have one last question, and it's
Sure.
the easy one. If you could see anything different happen on Main Street, what would it be and how would you do it?
I would like to see the town, and I say this in the most endearing way, some of these buildings are diminished. I would like to see it be a little more upkept. I'd like to see more people being able to start businesses and get things moving in Plymouth. That's what I would like to see.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I think that concludes my questions. Anybody else? Anything else? Okay, thank you, Wendy. Thank you for being here and being willing to put yourself out there and step up to this job. It's not an easy job. I haven't even been here a year and it's rough. Okay, next. Who? Oh, it's Eric Marks. Okay, Eric Marks. Is he here? Here he is. Hi. Yep, just turn it on. There you
Hi,
go.
it's working now?
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Before we start, just to let everybody know, I'm deaf. Okay. I rely on lip reading at the moment, so if I misunderstand, please be patient with me.
Awesome. Please be patient with us if we don't communicate well.
Okay.
All right, Holger, do you want to
Hi,
start?
Eric. Nice to meet you.
You start.
What specific issue facing our city do you consider most urgent, and what concrete steps would you take to address them in your first year?
What the issue do I see in town and what type of steps would I take? Well, let me back up a little bit. I moved here about 2 years ago because I had an apartment fire in Amador City. I lost my home. And in the time I've been here, I've noticed that the casino seems to be a pretty hot topic in town, if I'm not mistaken. But I think it's being built, and I think we'll try to work some sort of collaboration with the tribe. How to get that done is the big sticky issue, I believe. I would have to say that we would have to cooperate because they're here, it's being built. We would have to work on some sort of understanding, because I understand that they're having issues with city water. Is that correct? Or I could be misinformed on that.
There's a lot of details to it. There's a lot of details to it, but we would love to hear just what your thoughts are tonight on it. But yeah, there's a lot of different details regarding the casino for sure. Yes.
So I think being a new to town person, I'm not as well educated as some of the citizens that have been here. So I would have to learn, steep learning curve, if you will. But I've been a city council member in Amador City. I was appointed for a 3-year term, then I was elected for a 4-year term. So I'm familiar with how to follow laws, rules, regulations, ordinances, that type of thing. And working, of course, with council, the best ways to handle issues, closed sessions, familiar with all that.
Okay, thank you. How do you plan to engage with the residents who disagree with your positions? And can give me an example of a time you changed maybe your mind based on a community input?
So you're asking how I would handle if I disagree with somebody? I work full-time at Mule Creek State Prison. I've been there for 12 years. And I can tell you, yes, we've had disagreements. Yes, we've had some heated arguments, but we've always tried to step back and keep it civil and try to find a middle ground where we can agree on. Sometimes it's hard to take the higher road, I'll admit, but it's always the best way to do it because we're here to serve the citizens of this town.
Typically, cool heads do prevail. Walk me through your decision-making process for evaluating the city budget, and how would you balance competing priorities like infrastructure, public safety, and community programs?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Walk me through your decision-making process for evaluating the city budget. How would you balance competing priorities like infrastructure, public safety, and community programs?
Like prioritize the three between infrastructure programs, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, so if you're really wanting to support the parks, but you know that public safety needs money as well for a new contract, how do you prioritize what?
No, I would say public safety is job number one. I mean, obviously we have to make sure the people that live here, shop here, work here are safe. And in the 2 years I've been here, I haven't seen anything serious happen, so I'm grateful for that. It's just somebody who lived in a not very nice area at Sacramento where the police helicopters are every night, yeah. No. Um, that would be my priority.
Okay, thank you.
Done. Okay, done.
It's my first question would be the same as asked the previous candidate. Is that, would you understand the time commitment of this position? I know you served in Amador City, you said. Here it could get pretty extensive at times with everything going on in the city and the amount of time that we have to put in. And would there be any conflicts at your work with being able to participate and regularly make meetings and possibly serve on committees?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, sir?
Okay, so I was wanting to make sure you understand that there's a pretty great time commitment to this, often behind the scenes and special meetings and other things we have. I know you served in Amador City. We have a lot of extensive issues going on here, so sometimes it could be very time consuming here in Plymouth. And I'm wondering, do you fully understand all the issues here in Plymouth and how much time you would have to put into this? And then my other question would be, do you see any conflicts with serving with your regular job and serving on other boards and committees?
Well, my schedule is very set for the most part, Monday through Friday, 7 to 3. And so I'm available after that. Of course, it's a city emergency, then I'm sure I can leave and help handle it. Like, for example, my apartment that caught on fire, which was actually in City Hall. So if you're asking how I would handle, are you asking how my experience within closed sessions? Or I'm a little confused with.
No, I was just asking, excuse me, I'll let you get, I was just asking that you understood the time commitment and if this would interfere, your work was going to interfere with serving with the council and with, you know, any special committees and stuff that we do.
I don't think it will, no.
Okay.
But I will, if I'm chosen to serve, I would request a reasonable accommodation. Prior to that, I did have a sign language interpreter through a video screen, and I would be able to understand everybody
Okay.
much better. So I apologize if I'm not making that much sense at the moment. 'Cause-
You're doing fine.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for that.
And not very many deaf folk up here, I've noticed.
And do you plan on long-term? Do you see Plymouth being a place you're gonna want to live long-term and stay?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Do you see Plymouth as being where you're gonna want to stay long-term?
Yes,
And
I've been here for 2, and I was, prior to that, I was in Amador City for almost a decade. And so
Okay.
before, and I probably would still be there if my place hadn't burned. So yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi, Eric. Nice to meet you. Can you give me an example or a Reader's Digest version of your professional experience?
But we just, in a nutshell, graduated from Sacramento State with a degree in journalism, BA in journalism, minor in history, worked for 3 newspapers. Eventually, I transitioned the state government, started working Mule Creek in 2013, when I've been an office technician that time. And after work, I was a city council member, of course, in Amador City. I just did a 3-day stint at the fair. I saw Mr. Holger there during the 3 days, trying to learn a little bit more about the town, you know, so I figured, why not, you know. I've also, wow, it's a good one. I've also done retail work, so a lot of customer service experience, and I found that very helpful. Well, speaking to people, learning to, sometimes, you know, they'll give you like their life story and the like, and it's nice because you get to learn and build a relationship that way. So I think those are some of the key things that could help you in anybody in life and on council.
Thank you. My question kind of piggybacks off of Dawn's, which is, are you committed to staying the full term if you're chosen, which would be November of 2026?
Yes, I'd be willing for that.
Okay. And then, what do you see as an opportunity for Main Street Plymouth, and how would you go about encouraging whatever your idea is to have it happen?
Well, right now, I'm pretty stoked to see that there's 2 businesses. First, we have the Cedar Spill that just opened up. And there's going to be, I believe, a sports bar. And further down in the Ruse building, I think it is, it will be the Pisa Winery, if I'm not mistaken. And that's great, because I think coupled with those and the casino, hopefully drawing people in, so capture those people to spend time in town. I'd like to see the old general store in the building next to it. I'd like to see that open as well. I'd like to be able to see more businesses in town, but I'm not sure what the market will bear here because we're only a city of just over 1,000 people. So that's kind of a touchy one.
Yeah. I think, oh, I have the one other one I had is, since you've already been on a city council, you're probably familiar with this. However, I don't know if Plymouth is spicier than Amador City. So
Spicier how?
spicier with the energy that some folks have regarding the city. So are you comfortable taking a lot of heat from the public, basically, is what I'm getting at, the gist?
When you have a convicted murderer yelling at you, I think I can handle people, the public as well.
Yeah. Touche.
It's not professional.
Good point. That was probably a silly question for you. Well, I thank you very much for taking the time to come in. Do either of you have any follow-up questions? Okay. I appreciate you taking the time to come in, your willingness to put yourself out there and apply for this appointment. I really appreciate it. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time, everybody.
Yeah. No.
All right, so with that, the recommendation is to table this item until later, until we have our third candidate.
Okay. Okay. All right, so with that, Miss Vicky's and the fellas here are gonna move all of these goodies. And we're gonna table 4.2. And we'll move on to number 5, consent calendar items. Wait for Vicky to get back up here. Don't run, don't run. You good? Okay. Do I have anyone who would like to first, public comment?
Yes.
Look at that. Anyone for public comment on any of the consent calendar items? Any written comment? Okay. Seeing no public comment, we'll close public comment and look for a motion to approve this.
Make a motion to approve the consent calendar items as presented.
I'll second it.
Councilmember Hornish,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Nunn,
Aye.
Mayor Cranford.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okey doke. We'll move to 6.1. What? Did I miss something?
Do we? No, just kidding.
Holger's trying to mess me up. He's testing me. Okay, 6.1, introduce and conduct first reading of an ordinance adopting the updated fire hazard severity zones as designated by CAL FIRE. Do we want to take public comment on this?
Do you want a staff report first, or do you want?
Yes,
public comment
please.
first? Okay.
Sorry.
So in February of this year, the state fire marshal updated the fire hazard severity zone maps. You'll recall a few months ago, we had a presentation by the fire district on their adopting those state mandated maps. The way that the government code is written on this, there's a bit of an ambiguity as to whether or not in this situation, the city actually has to adopt these maps as well, because the fire protection district is in charge of fire protection for this area. Over the last few months, a lot of public agencies that have this kind of split in jurisdiction have gone back and forth on whether or not they should have the city adopt the maps as well. CAL FIRE has not provided any clarity on this. The legislature left us a bit of a mess here. Over the last few months, there's been more and more of a move to have cities adopt the maps as well, just to belt and suspenders, make sure everybody is aware of where these high fire severity zones are. And so that's why we're bringing this back now. The fire district also asked the city to adopt the maps. So the maps that you're considering are the state mandated fire marshal maps, the same maps that the fire protection district has already adopted. And so now we're basically just following suit to come in line with those mandates.
Thank you, Andreas.
Yes.
Anyone have any questions for Andreas before we move to public comment?
Not so much for Andreas. I would just say that,
Well,
oh,
before
go
we get
ahead.
into discussion,
Yeah, we'll just do that.
okay, is there any public comment on this matter? Nothing from online? Okay. We'll close public comment and I'm gonna defer to Don first because he's a firefighter. So we'll hear what he has to say excuse me. And then maybe Holger and I'll have questions answered from that.
All I would say, I had obviously, like a lot of people, had issues with the maps and how it showed certain houses in more of a high area and house right next door being moderate. A lot of stuff doesn't make sense, but I think it's the state doing this and we're not gonna win. And I do believe we should adopt it. We do have the fire district covering the city, but since it's on a contract to cover the city, I believe the city should still adopt the maps as I believe they've recommended as well. So, that's about all I have on it. Like I said, I would in the future, would love to get CAL FIRE in here and explain why it is that my neighbor's house is moderate and mine's high. But they're not here tonight, so.
So just to speak to the idea of this being a mandate, you're absolutely right. And on the spectrum of things the state is mandating for local jurisdictions to do, this is a pretty crazy one. There's
Yeah.
really no way to fight the state on this one. The only power that's sort of carved out for local jurisdictions is to actually uprank the severity on the maps beyond what the state fire marshal had done. There's not
Yeah.
really a mechanism to downgrade it and to fight what their determination was on this.
Yeah, and that's basically my feeling is, we can get them in here and ask them to explain things, but we're not gonna win. We're not gonna get them to change things for us, so. That's where I'm
And
at.
just an additional piece of kind of context or history on this is these maps get updated about every 5 years.
Holger, do you have anything? You're done, right, Don?
Yeah.
Okay, Holger? No. Okay, I don't have anything either. And this may be the fastest thing we've ever done. Okay, so,
So this is just the first reading. So
yep,
one way to do this would be to motion staff's recommended action. Of
Okay.
conducting the first reading by title only of an ordinance adopting the updated fire hazard severity zones.
one of you guys want to do that?
Yeah.
You can also just go with move staff's recommended action.
Move with the staff's recommended action. Motion to approve whatever you just said.
Second.
Councilmember Hornish,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Nunn,
Aye.
Mayor Cranford.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay, we are gonna move to agenda item 7.1 of the regular agenda items. Discussion and possible action regarding appointment of Andreas Boer as our city attorney. Staff report.
A little awkward for me to present the staff report, but here we are. So as you know, Frank has been the city's city attorney since 2019.
Yeah.
As you also know, he's got a scheduling conflict that precludes him from being here tonight. Otherwise, he would have loved to be here for this item.
Mm-hmm.
You've had me covering the city for a few months now, and so one of the options for the council is to just make me the designated city attorney by council action. The way that our contract is phrased with my firm, there's no amendment necessary. It just calls for a designated city attorney, and so by that action, you could vote to make me the designated city attorney under that contract. There wouldn't be any financial changes. There wouldn't be any other implications for making that change. You could change it again in the future should you wish to do so. There's nothing irreversible done by making this change.
Okay. Would we have anyone that wants to make public comment on this, open public comment? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Oh, what? No written, sorry. Holger?
Just as long as you don't also have scheduling conflicts of being here.
I do not. I'm available
Thank you.
as long as you don't change your meeting nights. But I don't think you want to do that.
No, we can do that.
Don, anything?
No, just to say that there, has been some question, so I think this is important that we make Andreas the attorney of record, because there's been question to me like who it actually is. So I'm glad that you're here and committed to the 2 Thursday nights every month and more, actually a lot more lately.
I'm here for the Thursday nights and whenever
Yeah.
else you need me.
Yeah, so that's all I have.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've served our city well so far, and I'm glad you can be here so that we have continuity in meetings. That's really important to me. And I think to the public and my fellow council members as well. So with that, can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to appoint Andreas Bucher as our city attorney.
Second.
Councilmember Hornish,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Nunn,
Aye.
Mayor Cranford.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Yes, and congrats. So we're gonna move to 7.2, staff update on the proposed Grich Ranch project. Holger and I both have asked for this in the past, so we're excited to hear an update, even if it's not much of one, I don't know. So go ahead, Erica.
Grich Ranch has actually been a project since 2021. The original project was a subdivision of Grich Ranch and an expansion of the 49er RV park. Once plans were submitted, staff requested the council authorize a contract for environmental services. Environmental review was underway. There was a problem with access to Old Sacramento Road, and the project became dormant for at least a year. So with that project being dormant, it did sit for a year or more. We had some conversations with the team and then they dropped it. And in October 2024, a new application was submitted. It's still the same project area, but the 49er Village expansion was no longer going to occur as part of the project. So the current application is for 299 single-family residential detached dwelling units. There is an option for some of the units to also have an accessory dwelling unit. The applicant in October 2024, when he submitted the revised application, there were some conceptual plans that were submitted. Staff reviewed the project that had been submitted and sent them comments in November of 2024, and we have not had a resubmittal since. But since then, however, staff has gone to council to ask for a contract amendment because the environmental impact report will need to be updated for the new project. Council did authorize that. But
Sorry, I'm gonna interrupt you.
Sorry.
When was that?
I believe that was in December or January.
Yeah. Okay.
So unfortunately though, because I don't have a complete application, that is stalled as well. So right now, staff has been working with the applicant on access to Old Sacramento Road. The general plan calls for access to Old Sacramento Road, and we would like to have two in and out points for the project due to fire concerns. We continue to work with them on the layout of the site, which again involves how are we getting access to Old Sacramento Road and water storage for the project. So we do continue to work with them, but their project does remain incomplete, and we are sort of at a standstill while they need to go and do their work on access and water storage and other items that we've kind of asked them to figure out. Where we stand right now is we continue to work with them as need be. We have had meetings with them. The engineering department has really helped them out to the extent that they can. We would, once they resubmit, so I need a tentative map actually submitted. Once they resubmit, I will issue a new notice of preparation for the environmental impact report. Although it is the same project area, so the same land disturbed, it is a different project. So we will send out that notice of preparation. It goes to, I'm going to send it to everyone within 300 feet of the project site, all agencies that get the notice of preparation, as well as anyone who has requested notification of that type of for projects. And then with the notice of preparation, we will hold a scoping meeting. So anyone can comment on what they would like to be addressed in the EIR. We're not there yet. We don't have a tentative map. Any comments that we received before will continue to be addressed within this environmental impact report, because again, it's the same project area. So many of the same impacts would be continued onto this project, and we'll continue to address it in the EIR. And then From there, a draft EIR would be hopefully prepared at some point, and then we'd move forward with public review of the document and then public hearings. But until the applicant submits an actual completed application, we are at a standstill.
Okay. Do you have anything, Holger?
I don't know if you have the answer to this or can answer it, but if you had everything you needed from them, what you need right now, what do you think your timeline is?
So if they submit it tomorrow to me, we have 30 days to review. We would review it within 30 days, and let's say within 30 days, it's perfectly complete. That tentative map then needs to get sent to Ascent, who is the firm that is working on the EIR. And then it would be up to Ascent on how long it's going to take to finish up the EIR. I would guesstimate that that's a couple of months. Depending on workload, it could be more, it could be less. From there, the draft comes to staff, and as city staff will review it to make sure that we are comfortable with the findings in the environmental impact report, correct any errors that might be in there. And then we would give comments back to the applicant, usually back to Ascent. Usually Ascent would minimal time, maybe 30 days, unless we find something very glaring, it could take longer. From there, we will usually let the applicant have a look at it before it goes out to public review. Public review is 45 days for an EIR. We have to notice it. It goes out for 45-day public review, and anyone can comment on it. And then all those comments get addressed by Ascent in the final version of the EIR. So it could require changes to the EIR, or it might just require responses to comments. Those typically, we have a lot of commenters on environmental review here, so I would assume it's going to take another 30 days for that, and then public hearings would start. Goes to the planning commission. The planning commission makes a recommendation to the city council because the project will include a rezone and a general plan amendment. And the reason that it includes those two things is there is commercial land on that site, and that will have to get redesignated for residential. And also, due to the topography of the site, they actually cannot meet the density that's in the general plan because they're going to have a lot of open space. So we'll need to take the areas designated for open space within their development. We're going to have to redesignate those as open space so that the density is actually within what is allowed in the general plan. So it becomes a little bit less dense just due to the topography. They can't actually hit that density. So those two things require obviously review and approval by the council, plus it's an EIR, so it also requires your review. And it will go to council for first reading and then second reading because of the rezone. And you will look at the map and the rezone and the general plan and the EIR all together.
So it has a long ways to go.
We still have a long ways to go. I know at some
Thank you.
point they were asking for like a 6-month review and approval way back when, and that is impossible at this point without a completed application.
Okay. Does that project potentially help us meet some of the state requirements for housing?
Low income or?
No, not low income.
With
There's
the
another one.
ADUs.
ADUs. Thank
Yeah.
you. That.
If
It's too big of a question.
That's a hard question. We have enough market rate units, so I don't need to build any market rate. These will be market rate units. The ADUs will not be deed restricted, so I cannot count them. Some cities, if you apply for an ADU and say how much you're renting them for, you can count those towards your numbers, but these are going to be built at the same time as a house, and I don't know what people are going to rent them for, if they're going to rent them at all, so I can't really count them, but I can count them towards our total dwelling units. But again, we exceed our requirement for moderate. I mean, for market rate, we need moderate and low, which we are not getting with this.
Okay. Thank you. Dawn?
I think you did a pretty good job of answering all the questions I had. My biggest one had concerns with there was anything that we could do to make the project be going smoother, faster, or if anything on the city's end was holding them up. It doesn't sound like that's the case from what you're telling me. I'm
No.
glad to hear that.
Yes, we've really tried to help them out with this. Engineering has gone above and beyond, helping them figure out a way to connect to Old Sacramento, where most cities would say, figure it out yourself. But there's only so much we can do or should do. And really, it's on the applicant at this point. We recognize the need for additional units within the city. These will be on smaller lots, so they should be more affordable than, say, Zinfandel Ridge, where you have larger homes on larger lots. So it should be more affordable, not in a state affordability way, but affordable for the residents of Plymouth. But staff can only push them so far at this point. I need them to submit a completed application, and then we will try to move it along as best as we can.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay,
Did we take public comment on that one?
I thought so.
Okay.
Did we? Did we not? We did.
Okay, sorry,
Okay.
I missed it.
Andreas. We
Usually
make
an
you, we
extra-
make
I
you the
make
city
extra check
attorney
mark
and
for that,
look what
and I
happened.
missed my extra check mark.
All right, so we're gonna move on to, thank you, Erica, for being here and for presenting that, sorry. We're gonna move on to agenda item 7.3, discussion and possible action to bring back Zoom participation during city council meetings. We will start with a staff report.
Sure. So Vice Mayor Nunn had asked for this item to be put back on the agenda for you all to discuss whether or not you want to again allow Zoom participation at these meetings. The city had previously allowed Zoom participation until November 2023 when there was an incident, at which point Zoom participation was discontinued. Many jurisdictions throughout the state continue to allow Zoom participation. Many have shied away from that as we got past the pandemic. There are pros and cons to allowing participation remotely. Obviously, it makes the meeting more accessible to more people from more locations. The major downside is the potential for Zoom bombing, which everybody's familiar with what that looks like. One way to mitigate against at least a portion of that risk is to only allow audio participation. So many places that allow Zoom participation restrict it to audio only. That cuts off the potential for undesirable imagery being posted to the Zoom participation area. I've personally worked with jurisdictions where that had happened, and so it's a very real threat. Beyond that, staff doesn't really take a position on whether or not to allow Zoom participation, and I will turn it back over to you all to discuss.
Thank you. Does anybody have public comment on this item? Hearing none, seeing none, and nothing mailed in? Oh, there was
Yeah.
one.
There was one mail.
There was one emailed in by Amy Gomes. So we'll record that. And I don't see any other public comment on the floor, so we will close public comment on this agenda item and move it to council discussion. Dawn, since this was your baby, do you want to start with it?
Sure. First, I'd like to say I think that the staff did an excellent job of preparing the materials for this. I was very impressed when I saw what they'd put together here as far as the other cities have done and, you know, having this layout and everything. So I looked through these, actually read a lot of the comments on what these other cities had done. And one thing that stuck out to me, Andreas already brought up, is that we could have this. I don't think having the video portion is really all that important. We could have the audio. You have the person's name and the audio. And so I think we tried it like that at first. And if that's going well, would be one way to go. The other thing is I think that since this happened, I've been told, I don't know a lot about Zoom, but I've been told that they have put a lot of safeguards in place. I don't know how, you know, how accurate that is or how well these safeguards have worked, but I would say that if there are things that the staff could reach out and look into this, and I don't know if we have it on a delay also, or if we make people, how we go about that.
There's a couple of issues with that. One, the delay would really hold up the flow of meetings. Two, you can't cut somebody off based on what they're saying. There's the First Amendment right to say whatever you would like. And there's
Even hate speech.
yeah, there's really
But if they're being vulgar and
Doesn't
it's not
matter.
on
doesn't
point.
matter.
Doesn't matter.
Just let them go.
During your 3 minutes of public comment, you cannot mute or kick somebody out.
Yeah. So the problem has been and the Zoom bombing really seems to happen much more to some jurisdictions than others. I've worked with some jurisdictions that have had Zoom participation since before the pandemic, during the pandemic, and continue to have it, have never had an incident. Other jurisdictions, one that's on the list here, Atherton, I used to work with them at my prior law firm. There was a stretch of time where hours at each meeting would be dedicated to dealing with this issue of Zoom bombing. And so it's really, it varies from place to place. You can ask people to identify themselves, but on Zoom, the beauty of the internet is anybody can say whoever they are is who they are. There's no real way of verifying that the name they put up there is actually who they are. And then that anonymity can also lead them to maybe say things they wouldn't say if they came here and talked to us in person. So while there might be some technical safeguards available, there's really very little the city can do to rein in control of Zoom comments.
So in these comments section here, and I was planning to highlight it, and it doesn't look like I did. I saw where basically one of the entities on here, they had, I thought it said something about anyone who wanted to call in on Zoom had to register by noon that day with the
Yeah.
city staff. So they would have to call in and actually give their name and callback number and so forth to be allowed to participate in the Zoom meeting. And I thought that was an excellent idea. And is that legal?
We could look into that and see what their analysis was that led them to do that, to take that step. Obviously, the downside of that is that that's basically the same as somebody submits a written comment, because then they're not able to, they find out towards the end of the day, oh, there's going to be a council meeting, I can just join by Zoom. If you have that extra step of having to leave a callback number, that takes away some of the broader access that you would gain by having Zoom participation. But we can definitely look into that further to see how they do that, how effective that is.
Okay, and then my next question would be that if you're concerned that when we open the public comment section, that a bunch of people could get on and do this Zoom bombing and we have to let it go, are we allowed to just put a cap for a meeting on how much time the public comment period's open? We could say public comments closes in 30 minutes or whatever, you got called or you didn't. Is that legal?
You could theoretically come up with a time limit for public comment, but then that would also have to apply to people who are commenting in person.
And that we have to do it for every agenda item.
Yeah, you would have to make it a consistent rule.
Yeah, I understand. Tip for now. Anybody else have anything on this?
Holger, your turn.
So having also worked with Zoom extensively during COVID, at my prior winery, one Zoom session every 2 weeks. We would review 3 wines, this and that, the other, and it was educational. And I was the one running the Zoom board, right? And I'm still a little shell shocked from those days because it is quite atrocious in, for lack of other words or better words. But I am willing to try this out to bring Zoom back, only because it seems to be very important to a lot of people. I would like to throw out that I do also enjoy the audio only option. And I also like the fact that in Arcadia, participants had to sign up to get the code via email in order to join. I understand it puts some limitations on people that want to join then and there. But again, I'm willing to give it a whirl. And if it backfires in our fair city, then I think we can still make another amendment.
And one other thing to follow up, if you did, you can. When I was reading on the last page what the staff had given us, it mentioned, and I was gonna bring this up before and I forgot, that one of the cities that does this, if people are being disruptive on there, they don't actually cut them off, they just lower the volume and nobody in the public hearing. Would that be a legal option for us to do too?
That would not be my advice, no.
But is it a legal option is what I asked.
It's, in my opinion, not a legal option.
Okay, yeah, I feel so many people in the public want this. There's also been times when it's been very difficult with the council here to be able to get to meetings when it's down to three of us, and it's very important for the city to have their business conducted. Sometimes we've had issues, and a lot of those have been my issues of being able to get here. I think that I look at it for that reason also. I mean, that's a secondary thing. It's mainly for the public. I think that personally, we give it a try and we try, with all the safeguards and the changes that we're looking at. And this isn't something that has to happen by the next meeting. I mean, if the staff needs to take time and contact other entities and, get more information, maybe contact, them themselves and see what we can put in place. And I mean, if it happens in a month or a month and a half, whatever it takes, it's just, I would like to move forward to being able to allow the public comment in the safest way we can and take our time. But I'd like to be moving forward to do something because the public, I think, really wants it.
So I'll take that as direction to come up with a policy on how we can try to bring back a safe and sane Zoom participation mechanism.
Yes, I think we would need to actually have some kind of written policy.
That would be my
yeah.
recommendation, that we come up with a written policy on how we're implementing Zoom this time around. And
Yeah, and it's something, like I said, it doesn't have to be done tomorrow, but if it's something you could do, write a policy, if we decide we vote this in, then I definitely want that.
I will work on.
Hold
that
on one
step.
second.
Oh.
I just want to share my thoughts. So I see pros and cons to this. The only pro is that it allows remote access. Obviously, that's the pro, right? Which allows more of the public to interact. But I have a question. I have several questions, actually. Question one is, it's my understanding that even as council members, even if we reintroduce a Zoom option, we still can't Zoom in and participate remotely without posting in the area we're in.
Correct. We would still have to follow the Brown Act rules for remote participation for
Correct.
council members.
So having Zoom doesn't magically make it so we can just Zoom in. So I just want that to be clear. That doesn't change anything for council.
Yeah, it is. I understand that. I've read a little bit about it. And I believe you are supposed to technically, if post where you're going to be and everything. I've also heard that there are some kind of exemptions for an emergency situation. Or something up to like once or twice a year thing.
There is an
for
emergency exemption that kind of waives the regular. There's kind of two ways that a council member can remotely participate in a meeting. There's the typical teleconference rules that have been in the Brown Act for a very long time. And then there's this new special exemption for last minute necessity. That can only be used a certain number of times in a set time frame. And it's got very kind of specific, strict reasons for why you have to be participating remotely under those exemption rules.
So there's only certain reasons that are exceptional.
Correct.
Or that are
I don't have
allowed.
those neatly summarized right now, but
That's
I
fine.
can bring that back as well.
Okay. The other thing that is a concern for me is the legal ramifications of doing this through Zoom, in what kind of was brought up earlier, that if somebody is online spewing for 3 minutes, we then are subjecting the council and everybody involved in listening to that for the full 3 minutes before we're allowed to cut them off, because if we cut them off before that, they could potentially sue the city, correct?
Correct. Theoretically.
Okay. Here's my biggest concern with this at this point in time. Or I guess maybe concern isn't the word as much as it is conflict, internal conflict. I want to do what the citizens would most like to do, but I've only personally had 3 people out of the 1,000+ people in Plymouth say, oh, Zoom would be nice. So,
Can we get a Facebook poll together?
no, we can't. Don't think that's legal. But you made me lose my train of thought. So squirrel. So that's one thing. The other thing is, if we get into the business of, okay, now staff has to email out something, or people have to do a special request, or they have to call and da 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 da. That is quite a bit of administrative work that's being added to their daily routine. One, two, writing an ordinance for this is gonna cost us money as far as the attorneys go, right? It takes them time to put together an ordinance and write all that, and then it has to come back to council, and it's quite a process. So I have reservations right now with everything the city's facing, especially financially, of making this something that, if we're categorizing things in order of priority, people still have an ability to email in, come in, make contact. So I'm really struggling with the decision on this. I just, 6 months ago, I would have probably been like, yeah, let's do Zoom. But where I am now, I'm like, man, we're facing a lot of stuff. We're in a deficit. Do we really want to spend time, money, and energy on Zoom when we have so many other things that seem to me, in my mind, that would take priority over that?
Well, I think what you're saying, because of all these other things we're facing, almost makes it more important to increase public's access to us, than not. And the other thing is, I want to say is I'm not very techie. I know about Zoom. I know we had Zoom, and I'm all ears if somebody has a better platform out there that would work, or other ways. Because some of these other cities, and I brought this up once before, and I think people thought that it would be. I don't know. I don't think I brought it to the public, but I think people thought it would be more time consuming and harder is if we just had people like a call-in thing. And one of the cities in here is doing that. And I mean, to me, I say Zoom because that's what we have. That's what people seem to want. That's the normal to use. And this is something where the staff could look at it and come back and say, hey, we can accomplish the same thing with this other platform and it's safer, or we could do a call-in thing and it's safer. I would be willing to compromise and go with that,
So I've worked with places that have had the phone call-in option. That has led to a lot more technical difficulties. Zoom tends to be much easier for people to navigate.
Yeah, I think that Zoom, as far as virtual connection, is probably the best option. However, the issue is, and I asked somebody who was involved in the last Zoom bomb. I mean, it was extremely graphic, like children in inappropriate situations was what was put on the Zoom, and they couldn't get it shut off. So the other thing that comes to mind with stuff like that is if something like that happened again, we never know who in the public or sitting on the dais has experienced some sort of traumas in their life. Those things could be very triggering. So then does that open us up to lawsuits of, oh, I attended a City of Plymouth meeting and this is what got put on their screen and they didn't take it down and now I'm traumatized, or you know what I'm saying? I just feel like there's lots of things that it just is a concern to me. I think what I'm willing to do at this point is say, I don't want staff to spend an exorbitant amount of time trying to figure this out or write ordinances for it. We can do Zoom without an ordinance, correct?
Yeah, and we wouldn't propose an ordinance. No, it would be a policy document, probably like a page long if this is how we add
Do
Zoom.
we have to have a policy document for this?
It would be good for consistency and transparency to have a short policy written out on.
So it's
what
not
to-
something like we can just try it, see how it goes. If we have another Zoom bomb, we're done with it. Without spinning, do you get where I'm going? I'm trying to say,
I get where you're going. I'm also saying that writing a one-page policy that kind of outlines of how we do Zoom isn't really a huge time expenditure. It's mostly already covered in the staff report, what the recommendations would be. Now,
okay,
if you'd like us to look into this callback idea of getting a code to call in, that would probably be a few more hours of staff time to look into that sort of thing. But putting together a simple policy of, the recommendation, it sounds like would be audio only. We're gonna keep it to
Yeah.
the same time limit as we currently have. I don't see
Okay.
universal support for the idea of capping the overall comment time on an item. And
I
so-
don't think we can do that.
I
Oh,
Well, I was just going to say, just to clarify, I think both myself and Holger are for only audio, so there wouldn't be like stuff on the screen, like any type of, materials, I believe
Okay.
that people would be subjected to. And my only other thing is, people could very well come in here and sit and rant and rave and use foul language and everything, so it's,
Yeah, but they're less likely to because they're
yeah,
chicken.
they're less likely to.
They're brave online.
Well, yeah, everybody's a lot tougher behind the keyboard.
Keyboard
but,
warriors. Yeah.
I think we need to do something for the access. And if this doesn't work, if something happens, we could suspend it. And, my thing is,
Okay, so what I'm willing to do and say yes on would be, we try it, but at one time it becomes gross, graphic, something we have to deal with. It's a major issue.
Yank it.
Done. We're done with it. That's how I feel about it. These meetings are hard enough, long enough. There's enough stuff going on that I don't think we need to add to the distress. Right? So that's how I feel about it. So with that being said, does anyone else have any other comments?
well, how about, even if we tried to do the Zoom as a temporary until we figure something else out, we could keep working at something else, like maybe bring back the Zoom in a few weeks or a month and still be considering if our attorneys or our staff has a better idea. Because I don't understand how it's that hard for people to do like they do the comment cards, to do an online card that has to be into the city by noon or 4:30 or something like that. And I want to talk on these things, or I want to make a public comment. And I understand what you said earlier, about
That's
it.
essentially what we already have in the form of email.
Well, I mean, where we call in and they can be on audio and say it type of thing, because I think some cities have done that, so.
So to me, so then we could just read their email. I mean, that's the only difference, right?
Well, it's not interactive. It's not them being able to say something or ask a question or.
Yeah, I mean, typically public comment shouldn't really be too interactive.
It's not supposed to be interactive. I think that our city, based on other cities I've watched, usually the people at the dais just sit quietly and don't respond at all.
I mean,
That's-
it's literally just online participation.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I don't want to spend any more time on it. And honestly, I don't want our staff spending a bunch of time on figuring stuff out right now because we have a lot of things to figure out. So I think I'm fine. Let's just do it and try it. And if we start having a bunch of problems with it, then we nix it. Yeah.
All right.
Do we need to motion?
Well, do you want us to prepare the short policy and bring it back for you to decide at that point whether or not to implement it or not? Or do you want us to just go ahead and implement Zoom
I'm
participation?
gonna lean to Dawn to answer that.
I would say let's go ahead and let him bring back something to us.
Okay.
And then we'll go from there. Maybe you can bring that back at the next meeting if you're able to get to it by then or whenever.
The next regular meeting.
Well, regular, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't mean in between. I mean, if that's something, if that would work or if you end up needing a little bit more time, just let us know or just say so.
Okay. Thank you. All right, with that, we'll move to agenda item 7.4. And we'll take staff report on that.
Margaret wrote this one up. It's a request for $4,000 of TOT funds for the Christmas market. Apparently the city has granted that request in the past. That's really all I know.
Okay. Does anyone have public comment on this? Mike, are you itching to get up and say something? No, you're good? Okay. So we'll close public comment and we'll open it up for discussion. Holger or Dawn, I don't care who goes first. You pick.
Yeah, I'll go. I have a.
I said your mic is on.
Your
Oh,
mic
I
is
don't
already
turn it
on.
off, sorry. I noticed right when I turned around, I go, oh, it's been on the whole time, all right. So I had some concerns on this. And let me first start by saying I'm totally for this market, having it get put on. It's just the request is submitted, I had some concerns about. And I actually reached out to a couple of people, asked questions about. It looks like, so we have private individuals putting this on, not actually the city putting it on. And one of my big concerns I see here it's gonna be horse and buggy rides, it looks like. When I worked over in Sutter Creek, some years ago, they had the parade of lights and we had an individual whose foot got stepped on by a horse. And that ended up in lawsuits. And even though I think it was another entity putting it on, the city was getting sued, the fire district was getting sued, everybody there, whether they were directly involved or not, were getting sued. And so I look at this and I don't see anywhere on this
For insurance.
where there's any kind of liability insurance. And I reached out to someone who does put on a lot of events and stuff and asked her about that. And she was telling me that the different ways they do it, the blanket policy that covers like 24 hours or 72, and you ask to be additional insured of the city. And she was telling me that the fairgrounds actually have a company in place that people could use when they want to do these things there. And she was saying it's not real expensive to do an event. And so I had that concern that we at least have liability insurance on here. And then I was curious, total budget, it says they were looking at spending 3,400, which with liability insurance, I'm sure that would add a little bit, but they were asking for 4,000. And so I wanted to know why they'd be asking for more than they're projecting to spend. And so I almost feel like, to me, the insurance is a really big deal. I almost feel like I'd like to see them maybe adjust this and bring it back to us. But I'm totally for it. I think it's a fabulous event that they're doing.
So we can definitely ask for clarification and also dive into the insurance piece as well and bring it back in the future, if that's the pleasure of the council.
Okay, Holger?
My question was also about the discrepancy between the 4,000
Yeah, me
versus the
too.
$3,400. Every time we have an event at the winery, I do have a day off liability insurance, which is extra $100-ish. So I think that's totally doable. I would love to see something that shields us, the city, from,
We could ask that whatever policy they get, they name the city as an additional insured as one of the conditions.
yeah, to name
Providing
us, the
TOT
city, as
funding.
an additional insurance. Yeah, thank you.
It's like at least a $1 million, I think is the standard, right?
I think we'll talk to the city's insurance about whatever limits are currently recommended for something like this.
Thank you.
My concern with this, as we're gonna start seeing TOT stuff come in here over the next year, is how much our TOT has decreased.
Do we know the current level of it?
Not without a city manager.
Got it.
My main concern is we're gonna have to start reducing TOT grants at the percentage of, at a matching percentage of which our TOT is decreasing. So I don't know what that looks like.
So a scale of whatever percentage is coming in can go out.
Yes, so that it's even, because right now, all of these recommendations that are gonna start coming in going forward are coming in at the same amount they've always come in, right? But the problem is we're no longer making that much TOT, significantly less. So before I'm willing to approve this grant, I would like us to know, I would like us to be fiscally responsible with this. Because we don't know what our TOT is gonna look like 2 years from now or a year from now. And if we just drain it quickly, we're gonna have a problem. So what I would like is if we could maybe put Andy on this and have him, figure out if he's able. I know we haven't been a whole year out from losing the Shenandoah TOT. But I know just within the quarter, it was like $40,000 loss, something like that. So if,
So a projection of what the TOT revenue will look like.
yes, if he can give us that and the percent in which it has decreased in comparison to the prior year, so that we can have so that when somebody like these folks come in and say, we want $4,000, and that's what they got last year, we can say, okay, well, our TOT has decreased by 30%, so we're gonna decrease this give by 30%. Does that make sense?
You want to proportionally scale all of the repeat contributions.
Yes, we can't continue to give at the same rate we've been giving. So, the sooner the better, because I know that this is gonna be a time crunch issue soon for them.
We'll get in touch with them, and as quickly as they can get us answers, we'll try to get it on the next regular agenda.
Okay, and alternatively, I just wanna state that for the folks putting this on, I don't know if looking at possibly doing some sort of fundraiser to make this happen, or maybe requesting some money from different entities, or getting Rotary involved, in case any of them end up listening to this that are requesting this money. Maybe that could help also, but if we can get that from Andy, that would be great. What do you guys think?
I think I have your concern about the diminishing funds, and I'd actually thought about that. And I've thought that the way the funds are diminishing right now, that we're probably going to have to agendize relooking at the whole top program and everything. I just feel like there's so much on our agenda right now and things going on that it's probably be down the road a little ways. But I think the whole top, I think we're gonna have to get the numbers you're talking about. So I agree with you totally on that. And I think that for right now, I think we've covered it. I think for right now in this particular event, we get these questions answered. And
Yeah, so can we not motion to, can we not motion on it and just let
You
it
can just-
roll to
you
a
can just-
future agenda?
Let it sit, yeah.
Table it, okay.
but I think we should have some direction though for the people putting it in, right? Like we're telling them we want liability and.
Yeah, we
insurance and-
want liability.
The direction that I understood you want, or the answers you want, are why are you asking for more than the projected budget, and what are you doing for insurance?
Yeah,
And then that was for the folks putting on the event, and then there's also the questions for Andy about where are we at with TOT revenues?
right.
Yes.
Would you, normally we don't do public comment after we've discussed it, but if you have information on this,
You want to come
Perfect.
up and
perfect.
go to the microphone real quick?
Come on down.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Todd Ramos. I live in town. And my wife Francine throws it. She's thrown it the last 3 years, so this is the 4th year. And she wasn't asking for 4. She just said anywhere between 3,400 and 4. And I heard what you said. That's why I didn't say anything for. I thought it was going to sail right through. Mike nodded his head. But I understand the situation. But we would have to find out very soon, because the big chunk of that is booking the horse and carriage.
The buggy.
Right.
So-
No, I get it. I just don't know.
Yeah,
I feel like we can't give an answer until we know where we're sitting financially.
yeah.
We're in a real situation with the TOT.
Okay, we'll see if we can get some fundraising somewhere else, but hopefully it'll.
I mean, I'm hoping by our next regular meeting.
Mhm.
Do you feel like that's gonna be soon
Is
enough?
that 2 weeks?
Yeah,
28th.
it's, the 28th.
Yeah, I think that's soon enough. Well.
Okay,
yeah.
do you think we could have some answers by then potentially?
I hope so. We'll email Andy tomorrow.
Okay, and you've heard what we've talked about as far as you guys get find out about your liability
Right,
insurance.
so that would be the biggest thing, just maybe we'll shoot for 34 and add the liability.
Yeah, and
Okay.
then, what was the other thing we wanted him to do? Liability insurance and
Liability insurance with the city named as an additional insured.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
Of course.
okay, thank you,
All right.
Todd.
Thank you.
Oh, could you shut the mic off? Would you mind? Thank you. Oh, that's right, I can do it. Hold on, let's see if I can do it. Oh, look at that. All right, so we'll table this till the 28th. It's not a no, it's we need more info. Okay, number 8, council and staff communications, brief reports or matter of interest. Holger?
Right. I don't really have much to present or talk about. I've been talking to the folks in ZR on their concerns on swales and water mitigation. And the fact that the landscaping company that was approved started work, and the feedback was that the entrance looks much better.
Dawn?
Yeah, I have nothing really to add there. I just want to make sure with changes at Andreas, we were planning to actually have a discussion. I want to make sure that's on the next agenda about setting up board meetings, a CFD board. You're going to have that on there?
So that might have to happen in September. Still doing some background research on that.
Okay.
Andreas, do you have anything as a staff communication? Nope. Okay. I wanted to report on a couple of things. So one is we got second place on the fair booth at the fair and won a whopping $75 for the city. I think it was 200 to do the booth. So so there's that. Also, I would be remiss if I did not say Shenandoah kicked our rear. The Shenandoah Club did a beautiful job on their booth. And there were only two of us and we got second. So, next year I'm coming back with a vengeance.
But will you have hay or straw bales?
No, my husband, so let me just report on this booth a little bit here. Have some grace with me. Several members of the community came together to get this booth put together because I can't build anything. So, I had a big idea and I told my husband and he got his dad involved and John Colburn and they built the thing and did all the stuff and my husband drove down and got the straw and then I found out that the straw had to be sprayed with fire retardant to be put inside of the building according to the fire marshal. Do you know that there's no fire retardant in all of Amador County and none of the Home Depots in Sacramento? So there was one guy who came in clutch. And that's Mike Spinetta. He's here tonight. And I put on Facebook, I need fire retardant. And Mike says, I have that. I have to spray it on the curtains at the theater. So we ended up being able to put the straw in the building, sprayed with fire retardant and all the things. And it ended up being awesome. So people really enjoyed it. It was a photo booth. People could sit down and take a photo. People did. Yep. It worked. I wanted it to be interactive. That was fun. And so, it was super fun. And I hope I get people who will participate and help me next year. If I get to do it again next year, I don't know. Plymouth might run me out of town before then. So, there's that. And then I also want to give credit to Tracy, and Matt Yurovich who worked tirelessly on the booth, not the booth, the window at the fair that represented the city of Plymouth. It was absolutely stunning. And they both put in an immense amount of work. I know that Tracy had Matt go down there and paint it because it was looking pretty homely. And so it was painted before they even decorated it. And I think all of that speaks to the heart of the city of Plymouth, the city staff, the city council. Regardless of what you read online, regardless of what you hear in the public, I think that everybody that works here and everybody that's sitting on this dais ultimately truly desires the best for Plymouth and wants to do the right thing. And so I thought that what happened with the fair and us pulling together as a community and putting it together turned out awesome. And it really spoke to the heart of Plymouth. So that's what I have to say about that. And I don't have any future agenda items because I think we've got plenty. Do you have any, Holger, future agenda items?
I do not.
And Dawn, you already said yours for the CFD. Do you have anything else?
Well, yeah, Andreas is saying that's probably going to take a little longer. They'll be up in
Right.
September. The only other one I would like to bring forward fairly soon is there was 3 city council policies that I had asked to be put on to look at adjusting or possible not having anymore. So I'm wondering if we wouldn't have time at the next meeting to do that. It should be on the list.
I'll have to get that list from Margaret. I know she had written all those down, so we'll look at.
Yeah, we have it
Okay,
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So that would be mine, is just reiterate, I'd like to get that, what I've already asked for, I'd like to get on there.
okay. Also, I saw Trevor Doyle walk in, but then he walked back out. RJ or Robert, would one of you be willing to peek back there and see if he's out there? Maybe he thought he's not supposed to. Well, what if he left?
Oh, yeah, Boone, we'll need that table and things back the way it was.
RJ's going to check. Gross. Where can are they just throwaways? Oh, okay. Hi, Trevor. You can come on up if you'd like, to the table right here.
So for the folks listening to this, we're now returning back to item 4.2 to conduct the last interview of Trevor Doyle.
Thank you for being here, Trevor. Thank you for your interest in being on city council and serving the city of Plymouth. We'll go ahead and start. We're just gonna ask you some questions, and we just ask that you turn the mic on that's in front of you. It's a silver button.
Thought it was on. It's on now.
The red light is the indicator.
Okay.
Holger, you want to start?
I'll start.
Okay.
Hi, Trevor.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. First and foremost, thanks for being here and taking the interest. What specific issue facing our city do you consider most urgent, and what concrete steps would you take to address them in your first year?
I think that casino is going to be up by Christmas. I think they said next spring, but it's moving up really fast. And I think the city needs to have a plan for traffic and people and safety. The people who are going to come into town, like in town when the casino was up. I think that's probably the most pressing issue. I think the second issue would be like initiatives for the health of the like people in the community, so we can be a healthier community.
Thank you. How do you plan to engage with the residents who disagree with your position? And can you give an example of a time you changed your mind based on community input, if that ever happened?
Yeah, well, I'm a teacher and I've been a teacher for 22 years, so of math and computers. So people disagree with me all the time, and that's okay. And that's not really something that causes me stress or something that I have have issue with. I think when I worked for when I was on a board in Huntington Beach, I had an issue where people wanted to vote to make the public parking, people could park their RV in public parking. And because I said, well, that doesn't make sense, because then the public parking is going to become RV storage. So I voted no against it, and I'd have some very angry people. But then they spoke to me about what they were talking about, and so I changed my mind that we could have a section of it that was to be able to park RVs.
Nice. Last but not least, walk me through your decision-making process for evaluating the city budget. How would you balance competing priorities like infrastructure, public safety, and community programs?
Well, I recognize that I'm probably not the expert in that, so I think I probably need some guidance on that. I can look at a budget and see what I am concerned about. I'm currently on 2 boards right now, and we are doing in Sacramento, and we're doing we have doing the budget stuff now, and I can see when something looks wrong, but I don't know if I have the expertise to audit it as the way it should be audited. So I'd need some guidance on that.
So, for example, if the sheriff's contract is due and they obviously want more money, but we also want to improve the city park.
Yeah.
How would you?
So I missed the first part of what you said.
Juggle that. How would you balance competing priorities like infrastructure, public safety, and community programs?
Okay.
So if one comes up and the other guys, you want to spend some money here.
I think it's an easy metric of the amount of people who are helped and the type of population that's helped, right? I think we need to help the young people and younger people in our community, encouraging people to come here for a place for people to live, because we have a main street, we have a main street with two businesses, and we need to encourage more families to be here so we can they can like develop into a thriving community like Sutter Creek, which I think we can be. So I think it depends on like balancing how many people it benefits and the age group that it's benefiting.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Don.
So I hear you mentioned you'd served on a board in Huntington Beach.
Yes.
And some other boards. Would you say that you're fairly familiar with the Brown Act? And
Absolutely, yeah. And the Robert's Rules of
Robert's Rule of Order?
the Robert's Rules, yeah.
Okay, and I've asked the other candidates this. Do you see there being conflicts with your regular job with coming to meetings? Like we meet 2 Thursdays a night, sometimes we have to have special meetings. And also beyond the meetings, we have several board appointments that we need to make. And some of these are during the week, during the day. Do you feel you have a flexible enough schedule to maybe once or twice a month make some of those if you needed to serve?
I work from home. I work from home on Landrum Street, so I'm here, and my schedule is pretty light right now. To be honest, I have a lot of disposable time right now. Like, I guess I'm kind of semi-retired, so my schedule is very flexible right now.
And so, do you see yourself planning at this time to stay in the city for a fair while? I mean, is this where you're thinking it's going to be a permanent home, or?
Oh gosh, yes. I've been here for almost 10 years now, and I'm not going anywhere. I have a beautiful house and it's a great community, and it's safe to walk the dogs at night when you want to walk the dog. So yeah, I'm not going. My
Okay.
sons are starting to get old, so my 18-year-old is moving out, and my 13-year-old, I mean, if he moved down to Southern California, I might go down there, sure, in 7-10 years, right?
Yeah. And having served on a board, you probably understand that, what you see up here is a small part of the time we put into this job.
Yeah.
I can't tell you, there's often 5 nights a week or so that I'm on the phone with residents, people calling, and it's a huge time commitment. So just want to make sure you understood.
Yeah, a current board meeting I attended started at 7, and I was on the phone till 11:30 at night with people dealing with an issue. And I understand. I've worked at summer camp where your schedule is a director of a camp where your schedule is 7 a.m. till midnight, 7 days a week sometimes. It's just a job.
Thank you.
I'm curious, what 2 boards are you currently on?
I'm on a men's course board in Sacramento, and also Access Sacramento, which is a TV, the TV, like public access TV in Sacramento.
Oh, cool. Okay, I have just a few questions. That was just kind of a curiosity. Well, honestly, you've kind of already answered this. You've given us your professional background, so we know that. So I know I've seen your name online, and actually we've met once many, many, many years ago.
Oh God.
I went to Mountain Oaks with my daughter to just check it out, and you were working there.
Yeah, I was a teacher at Mountain Oaks for 9 years.
Yeah, and we met briefly. You were teaching math, I think. I wouldn't expect you to remember me. I only remember you because I was looking
Of course you remember me.
for my daughter. Yeah. So I'm curious, are you committed to staying the course until November 2026 or December 2026 when an election happens again? As you've seen, we've had some difficulty, and I know you are on Facebook and you've seen some of the stuff that's gone on. We've had difficulty with people staying in their seats here. So is that something you feel committed to?
Absolutely. I think there's a better way to do things than the conflict that has happened in a way that causes bad feelings. And by the way, my professional background is I have a master's degree and a bachelor's degree, and I've been working as a teacher for 22 years all over the state. I'm originally from Ireland, so I'm also an immigrant. And so I think, yeah, I've been a citizen since since 2007, so, but it's been a while. I've been here 30 years. But I think that I talked so much, I forgot the question.
Professional, you were just giving me some of your professional history, and then also you were sharing that you would or wouldn't be committed to.
Absolutely, yeah.
staying.
Everything I do is 100%. I don't know how to do it any other way.
Okay. And then, you kind of already shared about this, but Main Street, what do you, if you could just dream it and do it, what would you see for Main Street?
I think when I've talked to business owners in the past who opened businesses in Amador County, there's some major barriers to opening business licenses, $19,000 fees to open a business. I think we really need to consider being aggressive in our like giving people conventions to get in, right? So we can get businesses in, maybe not as many licenses, not as many. I know I have an Airbnb town too. I have an Airbnb, and the process to go through it is needlessly complicated at times. And I think we need to simplify that because, businesses, we want to get them in and we shouldn't have like roadblocks.
Okay. I don't think I have any more questions. You've answered several. I appreciate it.
Some you didn't ask, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot I didn't ask, but we can't be here all night, right? So, when we try to keep it fair, so we don't ask one candidate a bunch of questions we didn't ask another, because that's not fair. So, I think that wraps it up for me. Anyone else have any follow-up?
I would just, is there anything you'd like to add
Yeah.
before we can conclude?
I think I have a history of managerial jobs. I've worked as director of summer camps. I've been a teacher for 25 years. I've owned businesses. I currently have a podcast with 200,000 listeners and 11,000 subscribers that's listened to all over the country. So, I mean, I've demonstrated that I can go out and get things done, right? And I think the community needs people who can get things done without getting bogged down in the minutia.
So between your podcast and your TV-ness, I hear that you can put Plymouth on the map.
Sorry?
You can put Plymouth on the map.
Yes, don't forget the map.
All right, I think that's it. I think we're good. Yes?
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for your time. We
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Teamwork makes the dream work. Okay,
So with that, you can deliberate about the candidates, decide what you would like to decide. If you feel you need more time to decide, could also continue to decide and make a decision at another future meeting. I do remind you that based on when the vacancy came open, the decision on filling this vacancy has to be made by the 29th of this month.
so we potentially could make the decision on the next meeting on the 28th.
Or at the special meeting next.
I would recommend to making it on the 20th,
On the special meeting?
special meeting.
I would definitely like to, I think last time we did this, we interviewed and we took a couple weeks, but I'm for either one, 28th or the 20th. I think that right now with only having 3 members, it puts us in a bad way because potentially, what could happen, one of us can't make it. So I don't know if it's something that, we make the decision on the 20th. I think it's probably the best.
Either way, it sounds like
Or-
you're
no.
not looking to make a decision tonight.
No, I need time to think.
Okay.
So 20th?
20th for me.
I'm good with the 20th.
Okay, 20th.
All right. Thank you.
And thank you to all.
Yeah,
Thank you
we-
so
again,
much.
thank you.
Yes.
Do we? All right, never mind.
Okay,
We'll continue this item to the agenda for the 20th, this
Yeah.
special meeting agenda on the 20th.
okay, so we don't need to do anything.
No action needs. to be
Got
made
it.
right now.
Do you have something?
I just had a question of, we'll decide on the 20th, we will take a vote on it. Do we need to then make it effective that minute? Do we have to reach out to the candidates and tell them to be at that meeting? Or does it just become effective on the 28th? Or how? I just want to make sure I understand that.
So
we should technically make it effective right then. So do we
Yeah.
have them all show up on the 20th?
we should have the applicants
They
available.
get sworn in
that
then.
night. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
Become active that night
Yeah,
yes.
they sit up here.
before we make any decisions. They're participating that night on the 20th.
What could be the last thing on the
Yeah, I mean,
agenda or?
you may come up with additional questions that you would like to ask each of them, depending on.
But you
What-
can also agendize it to be the last
Okay.
item on there.
Can we
Correct.
do that?
You could do that, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. All right, 20th it is. We
Okay.
can iron out minutia later. Okay, so with that, we are going to open public comment for closed session items. So if there's a closed session item you would like to make public comment on, now is the time to do so. If you do not have public comment on a closed session item, you can hang out outside, go home, whatever your pleasure, but we will take everything into closed session after public comment, and then we will report out afterwards. But nobody can be in here during public or closed session. Did I say public session earlier?
You may have. And we do
I'm
have one more
tired, sorry.
open session item after the closed session.
Oh, I'm
To
sorry.
potentially, again, discuss the interim city manager appointment in open session.
Okay, got it. Got it. Thank you for that. I'm not used to having an item after.
First one, so.
Does anyone have public comment on any of the closed session items? No? Okay. If you want to make public comment on the public employee appointment possibility interim city manager, you will have to come back for that, I guess. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. All right. No public comment. Seeing none, I'll close public comment and we will move into closed session at 8:25 PM.
We need
You go ahead, Andreas.
All right, the council met in closed session to discuss 3 items. The council took no reportable action on items 12.1 and 12.2. On item 12.3, after reviewing applications for the interim city manager, the city council has decided to interview the top 3 candidates at a special meeting on August 20th. And in the meantime, designate Boone Davison as the acting city manager until such time as an interim city manager has been appointed.
Yep. What he said. I think that's it, right?
We do have item 15 on the agenda, but we're not going to be taking any action on that based on
What you just
what we just
reported.
reported from closed session.
Right. Okay. Okay, so this meeting is adjourned at 9:59 PM on August 14th, 2025. Thank you.